Okay, this is my account of what happened on September 16th, 2001. For everybody who's watched my videos and seen my channels, this is the reason why I'm so pissed off about it. I'm not a great film producer. The whole video editing thing, I don't have the data on my little Obama phone here to get it done. My phone's a piece of crap. So I'm just going to, the one thing I was blessed with in this life is a gift of gab. So I'm going to use that gift to just rack it out here. So if you want to hear a good story, hear a good tale, do yourself a favor, roll up a fatty, grab a bowl and roll one up, grab your shot glass, crack open a beer, whatever it is you do, and flip over a bucket and have a listen. Let's get to it. Okay, it was September 16th, 2001. I'm on my way to work. I just broken my back in a car accident 3 weeks earlier, and it was my first day back to standing next to a print press all day, because that's what I did for a living. I decided to stop at my buddy Bill's house, my buddy Bill Wallace. I met him on Craigslist. He was buying a motorcycle off of me, and he hadn't paid me for all of it yet, so I'm pulling in next to Zorba's restaurant. And as I enter the top of the block, I see a bunch of kids at the top of the street playing hacky sack. I saw the hacky sack. I remember I'm riding a crotch rocket, and I'm that guy that passes you on the crotch rocket that you swear they're going to scrape up around the next corner. I just can't help it. It's an addiction. But I almost high-sided the corner and I actually had to put my foot out and catch myself on the curb because something about that group of kids caught my attention, because there was like 5 or 6 guys and I couldn't make out any details except for one of them. All the rest of them seemed to be wearing like a hijab or something. It was just kind of strange. Anyway, I went down the street. I'm only going 2 houses down, and I parked in front of my buddy Bill's house. And as I got off my motorcycle, like I said, I'd been in a car accident. I got 2 broken vertebrae, so I pulled my cane out, which I had stuck in the fairings of my crotch rocket, and I put my kickstand down, and I got off the bike, took off my helmet, got my walking stick, and I headed for the gate. It's only like 10 feet away. I get to the gate, and I see my buddy Bill is underneath a trailer in his driveway welding because he broke it that day. He's a landscaper. And as I go to power his gate open with my 2 arms, trying not to get my spine involved in this labor here, I hear behind me somebody yell, "Oh my God, somebody called 911. So Bill says from under his trailer, "Hey Slim, will you look across the street and tell me what the fuck is happening over there?" And I turned around and I saw this kid bleeding bad. The owner of the restaurant was trying to save his life. The busboy and him are grabbing bloody rags, and they're running him back into the restaurant to go get more rags. And so I just dropped my cane and turned around and ran across the street to help. As I'm arriving to this victim here, he's already in convulsions. I'm maybe 40 feet away when he starts going into convulsions, so I know what I got to do right off the bat. I've been in trauma before myself, and I got a pretty good understanding of what needs to happen here. He needs blood to his brain. He's laying downhill. He's got a head wound, and so as soon as I get there, I grab his legs, I bend his knees, and I squeeze his legs as if because they put a splint on you, an air splint when you're in trauma, to keep the blood from your extremities from pooling. And as soon as I did this, the kid comes right back to life. He's about 19 years old, and I recognize him. He's from the same neighborhood. He eats at Zorba's every day with his grandpa and his kid. So, he pops right back to life, like on Pulp Fiction when they stuck that needle in that girl's chest to get her out of the overdose. Just like that. He pops right back to life and says, my son, my 3-year-old son, where is him? They took him. Where is he? They took him. And as he's finishing up what he's saying, I look up, and the owner of the restaurant's already motioning for me to look over my left shoulder. And as I do, there's about a 3-foot tall creature of some kind. It's like a fuzzy rabbit looking thing, and I swat at it. And that's when I realized it's a microphone. We've already got a microphone on it, so I've only been there for 30 seconds. At the other end of this pole, I would later learn, is Malcolm Barber, but at the time we didn't know who he was, and I didn't want to be recorded, and it was really weird. Here we are trying to save this guy, and we got a guy recording us. What the fuck? So me and Brian both tell him, the owner of the restaurant, Brian, and I both tell this guy to stop recording us, and he doesn't give a shit. He seems to be deaf. So I get up and I chase him away. I'm a pretty big guy. I'm about 6'5", and at the time I was about 220 pounds. And I run the guy down about 100 yards as best as I can with my broken back. And when I turn around and come back to the victim, I not only notice that the victim is unconscious again because I put his feet back down, but that I got this guy running up on me again like a puppy. So I turn around immediately and I chase him up again. Like, what the fuck, dude? What are you doing? Stop recording us. You fucking deaf or something, you fucking asshole? I chase him off about 200 yards this time, all the way off the lot. He comes right back again. I do this 4 or 5 times before I realize I'm going to end up killing this guy, not saving him. So I just figure I'll go back to doing what I was doing, and I figure whenever, you know, the cop gets here, when the cops show up, I'll make the cops make this guy stop recording us. But before we saw another cop, about 5 or 6 minutes go by. We're just waiting for the paramedics to get there. The busboy had gone inside and called 911, but unbeknownst to me, my friend from across the street, Bill Wallace, he called 911 already. He was a reporting party on this incident, and you'll hear it in the video. If you watch my other YouTube videos, you'll hear R.P. Wallace in the recording on the very, very, very beginning of the video, right as the car is pulling into the parking lot, the cop car. Which, by the way, it's the correct audio from that portion of the film, but the video that they attached to it, they weren't pulling in that parking lot with a car for 10 more minutes. But that's the magic of Hollywood, I guess. Anyhow, we're waiting for about 6 or 7 minutes before the cops showed up. And so finally, a cameraman pops up next. We don't see a cop next, we see a cameraman next. And who we would later learn is John Langley. He's got a camera up on his shoulder, and he's filming us standing. He just came from around the corner of the restaurant, as if either he walked from inside the restaurant or he walked from in front of the restaurant. And he says, pretend like we're not here, we're from the show Cops. Now I'm really pissed. I says, motherfucker, if you don't turn that camera off, you're going to be the only one here, you understand? Because I'm walking out of here. And he keeps right on filming like I said nothing. I go, okay, bye, and I start walking out of there. I get about halfway back to my motorcycle, most of the way across the parking lot, when Deputy Ploymer finally pops up. He says, whoa, where are you going? I go, I'm out of here. I'm not going to be a part of your TV show. I don't want to be on TV, okay? So you guys save him. This ain't my fucking beef. You guys want to fucking save his life? You go over there and do it. And he tells me, asks me, he like begs me, please go back to doing what I was doing because his first concern is for the victim. I go, if it is, then you tell that fucking piece of shit to turn the camera off because I don't want to be on his show. And so he looks up at John Langley and says, hey you, like he doesn't know who it is. Get the fuck out of here. He says, hey you, turn off that camera. Okay, this is where John Langley pulls off his best performance ever, I imagine. But he's probably done this many times. And he takes his camera off his shoulder, and he's holding it by the handle thing on the top. And he goes, look, I'm sorry, man, look. And he reaches down, and he turns off the camera. We can see the eyepiece go dark. He says, look, man, I'm sorry. Sometimes I take my show too far. I'm just a little overboard about my show sometimes. But look, man, he goes, I'm ashamed of myself. Just please go back and take care of the victim. My first concern is for the victim, brother. And I apologize. Forgive me. I won't film you anymore. You have my word. And he's hanging his head low, and he's turning his back towards us and kicking rocks and shit. And I thought, well, I'm not a dick. I'm not going to drive it home. He got the picture. But I looked over at Deputy Ployer, and I said, that doesn't mean shit. What do you say? Deputy Ployer looked me square in the eye and said, brother, you will not be filmed anymore here today. Now, as he's saying this, I look behind him and there's a sergeant walking up. Now, it's debatable whether the sergeant was close enough to hear me or not. It's debatable. But he was probably 80 feet back. And I said, what about you, Sarge? And he said, brother, you got my word. You will not be filmed anymore here today. And since it was just debatable if he was close enough or not, I didn't make an issue out of it. I'm still thinking we got a kid that's been kidnapped here, and this is my first concern. And now that I look back one more time, make sure the camera's off, the guy with the microphone's standing there with it like on the ground and the pole in his hand. And so I'm like, all right, look, because I had realized by this time that as I was crossing the street to come over and help, I saw the kid, and it was in the arms of the either father-in-law or the grandpa. You know, and the kid was fighting with him like a motherfucker too. But that's pretty common when you got a 3-year-old, you know. So anyhow, I told the cops, look, they live right there. That's where they're from. I says, the kid is with his grandpa or his uncle, one of the two. I go, I'm really not sure. I don't know the family, but I know of them, and we wave to them almost every day when they come by here, and they go by and they eat dinner all the time. I says, I've been visiting the house across the street quite a bit lately, so they're a common fixture. But there's the house. I point backwards because it's on the next block back. And I point out some features on the roof, and Deputy Ployer identifies some features on the same roof, so we're on the same page. He knows what the fuck I'm talking about. There's no doubt. Okay? And I proceed to give the description of the guy, his car, the pinstripes on his pants, every detail. And then he wants to know who stabbed this guy. I says, I don't know. I have no idea. I didn't see that shit. What do you want me to say? They're just set on me telling him who stabbed him. I go, I don't know. I can't tell you something I don't know. You know? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I wasn't here. I was across the street going inside the yard. I didn't see what was going on. I don't know. You know? They go, so you can remember everything about the guy who's got the kid, but you can't, you know, that's a cop for you. That's a fucking piece of shit police officer for you. You know, they're just fucking difficult about everything all the time, and they're not bright enough to understand things that are going on in a real human world. So, anyways, he's just really starting to piss me off, and I'm like, fucking whatever, dude. I go, look, you want that? He goes, all right, so finish up your description, and finish up everything I'm saying, and once again, I reiterate that he's at home. Just go look at the house real quick. I told him, because I got to get to work. I'm on my way to work. He says, well, you're not allowed to leave till you sign some papers. And I just kind of laughed him off because I know I ain't gonna. I'm not going to ever give a cop shit. Fuck cops. Fuck this motherfucker. I grew up around these pieces of shit and I know better. And besides, every one of my relatives who's a cop told me, hey, listen, you don't never sign anything a cop hands you because it's called coercion. The only thing a cop should ever sign you to hand you that you should sign is a promise to appear in court, because it doesn't admit any guilt and it's only a promise to appear. Other than that, you don't never sign anything a cop hands you, ever. And I told this guy that. I told Deputy Ploger, look, my own uncle told me this shit, so I ain't signing shit. At first I just laughed at him, but they hit me up 100 more times. And they told me that as soon as the paramedics got there, that I'd be able to leave. So I'm sticking with that. So immediately, once I'm done talking, giving my description, another cop walks up. I go, come on, dude, are you fucking serious? If you want to know what I said, go talk to him. He says, look, come on, man, we know how to do our job. I go, all right, whatever, dude. So I'm sitting there, I'm holding the guy's legs off the ground this whole time. I got 2 broken vertebrae. I'm not feeling good. It's killing me. But now I got to sit here with my head cocked up to talk to this cop while I'm holding this guy's feet off the ground. You know, again, I'm 6'5". It's not easy. It's not an easy task here. So I give this guy the exact same thing that I just gave the first guy. All right, I notice he's not writing nothing down, and they got a cruiser that's pulled in now, and it's close enough that I can hear that if they click their microphone, I can hear it in the car. I grew up around cops. Okay, my mom is a scanner fanatic. I know all the codes. I know what they're saying. I know how the fucking cars work. I know that every one of these guys is corrupt. I don't need to be told none of this shit. I grew up around it. And unfortunately, I had to deal with it as an adult. Okay? One thing for sure is if you get a ticket every couple tickets every decade, and just because the cops were halfway cool with you when you got one, doesn't mean that not all cops are bad. Okay? So for all you people out there who are listening to my opinion of the police, and you think that I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about because you got a cop on your block, or you got a cop that coaches your kid's little league team, you don't know shit about cops, okay? Know that. Go piss one off and you'll find out what cops are all about. Because every single one of them will stop to fuck with you, because every single one of them is a piece of shit, okay? So, and this wasn't always like this. Before 1983, it was completely different. We actually had good guys out there in cops that were cops. We don't anymore. Anyway, I digress. Once I'm done giving this description, second time, a third guy walks up. And now I'm starting to get pissed. I'm like, come on, dude, I've given the description twice. He goes, we know how to do our job, the third one tells me. I go, whatever, dude. Here's one more time. I give him the same description a third time. Still, nobody's spoken on the radio. Nobody's even writing down what I tell them. And then a fourth time. Motherfucker. I go, this is the last time. I give my description a fourth time. And by this time, like 45 minutes have gone by. The paramedics have been here for 30. I'm being told every time I ask to get out of there that I'm not allowed to leave till I sign papers, but I'm not under arrest. I go, no, you stupid fuck. I'm under arrest. That's why you're not letting me leave. How can you fucking sit there and tell me that shit? So I pulled Deputy Plomer to the side. I go, hey, man, come here. Can I talk to you, Dep? He walks, I kind of walk him away from the victim and all that. And I pull him, I'm about 100 yards away. And I say, look, is this for real? What's going on here, man? I go, none of you have talked to dispatch yet. Nobody even knows this kid's missing yet. And you guys don't do shit. You stand here, I tell you where he's at. I tell you to go look at his house because I can throw a rock from here and hit the goddamn house. And nobody's been over there to look. It's been an hour. What's going on here, man? What the fuck? And he goes, did you actually think that we'd fake a kidnapping and shit? I go, fuck yeah. I grew up around you pieces of shit. I know better. My uncle is Mad Dog Delahunty. So don't tell me shit, motherfucker. Don't sit here and pretend like you're good people. Because you're not going to fool me, motherfucker. So what's going on here? Is this for the TV show? Is this kid really missing? He insists that yes, he is. Like, okay, well, there's just one more thing. I go, okay, there's just one thing we need to do then. He goes, what's that? And I pushed him by the shoulder back towards the victim. I said, you go make love to the camera. I'm going to go do your job for you. And I'm going to bring the kid back. I'll be back in 5 minutes. And I walk across the street, and I sit on my motorcycle, and as I'm buckling my helmet, this piece of shit ran up behind me and snatched my key out of my ignition. And now he runs back into the parking lot of the restaurant, because I had been parked across the street. He ran back into the parking lot of the restaurant, and him and this sergeant are playing keep away, trying to get me to play keep away. Well, I'm not a fucking idiot. I can pass the 3rd grade test, and I'm not about to go there. It's like, I'm looking for Ashton Kutcher the whole time. I'm thinking, where the fuck is Ashton Kutcher? And by the way, every time that I'm talking about me fucking getting pissed with these cops and I'm talking to him, the owner of the restaurant's standing right next to me, and he's reiterating the same thing because he feels the same way as I do. We knew we got fucked that day. We knew that this was premeditated, and we knew. The thing is, when you got a guy bleeding in front of you, here's the thing. All right, I know cops are full of shit. They all are. If a cop opens his mouth, it's a fucking lie. Period. That's the way it is. The only way to ever get the truth out of a cop is to surprise him with a video camera. That way he's on the spot. If not, they're paid professional liars. I mean, they go to school for 6 months, and they're supposed to be defending constitutional law, but they come out of school and none of them know none of it. So what the fuck were they learning in there? They're learning how, when, and what to lie about. Okay, that's what they're doing. They're going to tell you where to walk, when to smile, and just what to say. Okay, that's what cops do. They're paid professional liars. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. All right, I grew up around these motherfuckers, and now I've been dealing with this for an additional 22 years, and I've been stopped and frisked over 6,000 times by Riverside Police Department, and that's not a joke, and I know it doesn't seem realistic. I didn't even think it was real when they told me, because I know a record keeper at the police department, and I know the numbers. But I also know that there's 3 particular dates in this time period since that day they filmed the show, and I did a little math, and it's actually about twice that number. I get stopped about 10 times per day for the next 16 years after this event, but I'll get there. Anyway, after all this shit goes down, you know, I've been here for an hour. I go, look, man, what the fuck is going on here? I want some brass out here. I want somebody out here with some brass fucking now. You're not letting me leave. I got to go to work. You're illegally detaining me. So the sergeant that earlier gave us his word that we wouldn't be filmed, who now has John Langley behind him operating the camera and pointing it at me, is telling me, I'm a sergeant. I go, no, I want somebody out here who's sober, you dipshit. Somebody out here who's not on fucking drugs. The whole time I'm going through this, I'm thinking Ashton Kutcher's going to jump out of the bushes, or B, these guys are so fucked up with the thought of being famous that they're drunk and unable to perform their jobs. I really felt at this time, because the bottom line is, Daddy is in the parking lot, he's really bleeding, and he's telling us that his kid's missing. But he hasn't seemed to have been able to say anything for 50 minutes out of this last hour. He's just laying in the parking lot. It's 110 degrees outside. It's the middle of the day. You know, this started at 3:30. Now it's about 4:30 in the afternoon. And the guy ain't said shit for 50 minutes. And still, nobody has been over to look at his house to see if the kid's there or not. Guys like Deputy Birmingham walk up and go, oh, they took your kid? Whoa. And then they just stand there. About this time, John Langley walks up to me. I walk back over towards the victim, and I'm like, whatever. I'm at least going to try to help. Because it's not the homie's fault I got stabbed. He ain't the victim here. I didn't think at the time. So I go over there and hold his legs back up off the ground. The paramedics are basically just sitting there, fucking with a Band-Aid, you know, fiddling with their fingers, pretending like they're doing something, but they're not doing shit. Everybody's just standing there while John Langley tries to get more footage, and they're trying to get me to talk. At one point, they stood me between 2 cops, one on each side. They each grabbed one of my elbows and jerked me back and forth, trying to cause enough pain for me to sign their fucking release, because they're hitting me up about the release. John Langley walks up and says, well, before that happened, John Langley walked up to me and said, hey, come on, dude, can I get your signature? And I looked back at him and I said, for what? I thought you weren't filming, you fucking worm. And he goes, come on, man, you're in every single shot. Oh, I was fucking pissed. I was fucking pissed. That's when I knew for sure we just got fucking hoodwinked. And so John Langley turns around when I tell him no, and he looks at about like the 20 cops that have gathered there by this time. He looks over at all these cops and he goes, well, now nobody gets to be on TV. And I'm going home tomorrow because this is a Friday. He goes, I'm going home tomorrow. And nobody gets to be on TV. Now, of course, these cops are fucking livid. They're livid. They're in a rage now. What? They're throwing shit on the ground. Why? How come? And he goes, because he won't sign the paper. And he turns around and points at me. What a fucking dirtbag. What a fucking piece of shit. All I've done at this point is stop to save this guy's life. And now I'm public enemy number one, and every cop's got a fucking roar and hate for me. I've never told this story to anybody before. Okay? You guys that are listening to this right now, your first listeners, you guys are the first ones to know the truth. Yes, our sheriff's department went out there and set a Good Samaritan trap. They paid a gang member, 45 grand is what that guy got paid to do this. Okay? He nicked himself on the head and laid down behind the restaurant and waited for some Good Samaritans to come up there to try to save him so that the cops could jump out and fuck the Good Samaritans. This is a fact. It would be 17 years later when I finally tricked John Langley into giving me a copy of this episode that I finally realized that while that fucking microphone was on us, John Langley was in a car 8.5 miles away between 14th Street and Central Avenue on the 91 freeway. What the fuck were they doing so far apart? Now, you got to wonder, why would they go to this great length? Are all cops fucking bullshit shows like this? I don't think all the shows are like this. I honestly think we're the only ones they did this to. Because it dawned on me after a while that this happened right after 9/11. Okay? This is 5 days after 9/11, September 16th, 2001. Okay? You'll see it on the video there. So if you think to yourself, yeah, I mean, I know where I was. I was 26 years old when 9/11 happened. Okay? I thought that I was going to get drafted to war. I had already been to the Army recruiting office on Tuesday, and they told us that we're not going to war, go home and chill out and go take a seat. You know, just relax. And I was not the only motherfucker down there either. There's a shit ton of guys down there. But we all thought we were going to go to war. I got my dad whispering in my ear on the phone, telling me over the phone that, you know, I'm going to get drafted and sent off to some foreign country to fight for a bunch of kids who can't fight for themselves, just like they had to face in Vietnam. I got my grandfather on the phone telling me about World War II and Korea, you know, and I'm like, I'm scared shitless. I'm like, we're going to be going and doing this, but I was so fucking mad. I was kind of looking forward to it. So these cops had driven around for 4 days, and they didn't have anything to put on TV because the people who commit crimes in our society are young men between the ages of like 14 and 26 or 27. It's the vast majority of crimes that are committed. And none of us were outside doing shit. We were all inside watching TV, waiting for the phone to ring. Waiting for the other shoe to drop. Waiting for them to tell us on the news to make sure that you're registered with Selective Service, and I already was. I knew for sure we were going to go. I knew for sure I would probably die in the Middle East. And that what I was seeing that day was probably going to be the last things I remember of my homeland. This was a serious event. For all you youngsters out there, you guys have no idea how much this changed America. It was terrifying. It was terrifying. So, these cops had driven around. The only thing they had was the day before they filmed the show on September 15th, Deputy Ployer got smashed in the face by a child molester at Taco Bell up there, and you can see that by Googling his name. Just Google Deputy Ployer, P-L-U-I-M-E-R, which is actually not his name. His name's Ployer, but they misspelled it. P-L-U-I-M-E-R, P-L-U-I-M-E-R. And you can see the video of the Chester punch him in the face and break his nose. It's fucking hilarious. There was like a fucking... throws a haymaker from 9 degrees left of Rochester and nails him right in the puss and breaks his nose. I mean, he's the worst fighter on earth. You know. Okay, so after John Langley throws us under the bus and I refuse to sign his waiver, now I got Deputy Ployer walking up to me, telling me. Well, first he started with the restaurant owner. They're telling Brian if he doesn't sign the paper, they're gonna fuck him up. And he's like, I don't care. I'm not signing the paper. Yeah, he don't look like much, but that guy's a tough son of a bitch right there. And I'd like to point out to everybody, too, that he's the only hero there that day. That guy was inside flipping burgers, getting ready for his rush hour from dinner, and saw this kid stick his head in his restaurant with bleeding and dropped what he was doing, despite the fact that the people who stabbed him could have been back to finish him off at any minute. We didn't know at the time it was a hoax. And that guy ran right out there and fucking got right to business. That's the real hero that day, is Brian. And nobody's ever given him a pat on the back. And to this day, he's never seen it on TV because it's not available on the cop's website. And that guy went and hired 5 companies trying to find the episode so he could just see what he looked like on TV. Because he doesn't ever watch TV. He works all day. And I don't think he's seen it to this day. Hopefully he catches my thing here because he can at least see some of the half of the footage on there. When I talked to him in 2017, the day the cops got body cameras, I went on my fucking. I figured this is my chance to swing back finally, you know. And I had talked to him, and he said, "Nah, man." I hadn't talked to him since then, but he says, "Nah." He goes, "I've hired 5 professional companies. I paid with my credit card. I got proof of it." He goes, "That episode is not available." He goes, "You don't got it either?" I go, "Nah, I've been trying like a motherfucker to get it for years, dude. It's not." You could go onto the cop's website, and it said man stabbed in head in Riverside, and it showed Deputy Ployger's car, and that's it. When you actually ran the cursor over that portion, it doesn't turn into a hand to grab it so you can click it. It just stays an arrow. It's unattainable. And if you call the producer himself, John Langley, answer the phone because him and Malcolm Barber are the sole proprietors to this business. They don't have any employees. They do everything themselves. He'll tell you, "Oh, yeah, no problem. I'll send you episode 1521. And then he sends you episode 843. It's from Des Moines, Iowa. So, anyways, back to the scene again. Back to Zorba's where they filmed this. They're threatening Brian. They threaten him over and over and over again. And for 5 times in a row, Brian tells him, "No, I don't give a shit. I'm not signing shit." And so finally, it's not until Deputy Ployer gets in the guy's face with his fist cocked back, telling him, "If you don't sign this paper, we're going to fuck your shit up." And that Brian finally gave in. And I'm standing right nearby, and I went, "Oh, man, I thought you were going to hold out, brother." And they walked over to me. By this time, I'm itching for these cops to throw a punch at me. I need something on video that shows that they made an unwarranted, aggressive move towards me so I can clean the fucking floor with these fucking pieces of shit. Because believe me, anybody wants to go down to Del Taco on Streeter in Arlington and Riverside, California, you can see me clean the floor with 3 off-duty cops. I got no problem taking down 3 cops at a time. Fuck these motherfuckers. And I was so fucking pissed off that day that I had no problem doing it. Oh yeah, you can also go to the Fontana Indoor Swap Meet and watch me take down another 3. Because after this day, cops have been coming after me nonstop. This is my life. I live like fucking Richard Kimball now. This is what I get for doing a good deed. Fuck all you cops. Anyway, so they're threatening Brian. He finally gives in. He signs the paper. They try it on me, and I laughed. I stuck my chin out and shut my eyes, and I said, "Well, then get swinging, motherfucker. I've been trying to get you to swing on me for the last hour." And Deputy Ployer walked away shaking his head. He didn't want to go there. He just had his nose broke the day before, and he knows for a fact I would have mopped the floor with him. I'm 6'5", 220. I lived at Gold's Gym at that time. I was in my 20s, and I was running a half a marathon every day. I was just itching for these guys. Despite my broken spine, you got Deputy Jude standing there. He's Barney Fife's stunt double. You got 5'2" Deputy Birmingham, who, if you watch the video from the day before, that Google I was just telling you about, where Deputy Ployer gets his nose broke, you'll see what kind of great shape Deputy Birmingham is in. He ran about a whole 50 yards, and it took him 5 minutes to recover from it. He was useless by the time he got up to his buddy, who's got his nose broke, got this guy in the headlock. And the child molester shit himself and shit. It's fucking hilarious. And Deputy Birmingham's so out of breath, all he can do is sit there on his knees and try to talk on the radio while his buddy's struggling for his life over there. Fucking, well, yeah, great fucking physical fucking shape there, guys. I'm impressed. I know now that if I'm ever in trouble, the cops will save my ass. Fuck, get the fuck out of here. Anyhow. They tried it on me. I laughed. They tried everything they could to get me to sign. They kicked my motorcycle over twice. I had to pick it up off the ground with 2 broken vertebrae. They accidentally elbowed me when the camera wasn't looking a couple of times. They were actually bumping into me, jerking me back and forth by my arms, trying everything they could to make me sign that paper. And I told them, "Look, the harder you press me for that signature, the least likely you are to get it." I go, "There's been bigger, badder motherfuckers than you that tried to get shit out of me, and guess what? They didn't get shit either, so fuck off." All right, 5.5 hours later, I finally agreed with these producers because they realized after 3 or 4 hours, they got tired of me. They were just tired, and I'm talking mad shit. When they tried to put me, they got the camera on. Here's the thing, too. John Langley, after an hour, and they knew why they weren't going to get my signature, when the threats didn't work, when nothing worked, John Langley was still filming only me. So I already know for a fact that he's not planning on needing my fucking signature for shit. So why would I sign the paper and fuck myself out of any kind of money I might make on the deal? I'm not stupid. I'm not as dumb as a fucking cop, okay? I'm not going to do that shit. I'm not signing it. Why would you be filming only me? So I already know you're going to put my image on TV without my permission. I already know it's a fact, okay? Wake the fuck up. I didn't fail a 3rd grade test to get my job, okay? So, you know, after several hours, they finally agree. I says, look, I got to get the fuck out of here. I go, I'm not even gonna bother going to work now. It's going on 9 o'clock at night. It's 8:44 when I finally left. So about 8:30, we started negotiating. They gave me their phone numbers. I got Malcolm Barber's and John Langley's home number, work number, cell phone numbers, fax numbers. You know, their fucking, all their goddamn information. And I got handed 2 business cards. And then I gave them my cell phone number like an idiot. And I says, look, show me a copy of the show where you tell the truth, and I'll sign it. Okay? Just don't make me look like shit, and I'll sign it. Okay? It's pretty simple. And I go, I'm not going to sign a document that says you can just do whatever the fuck you want with my image. No, fuck you. I go, I will have an attorney present, and he will fucking make sure that your document says that I'm signing only for the episode you show me. That's it. Okay? Is that good enough? They go, yeah, well, we're not looking to screw you over. I go, yeah, whatever, dude. Whatever. You think I can't figure this out by now? I go, look, you're not going to fuck me over, dude. I'm not going to get punked by a bunch of fucking piece of shit cops, okay? So fuck you. You know, you guys fucked me out of this whole day. And I go, no offense, John Langley, but I've only known you for a few hours, and you've lied to me like 15 times already. You're full of shit, so I'm not going to ever believe a word you tell me. You know, you guys totally hoodwinked us today. The fuck? So, they take off. The last cop at the scene, I tell him, great, you know, because I'd come up on a Fabergé egg at a SWAT meet a couple days before, and it's across town at a motel room, and the guy who owns the motel told me that if I was back by like 10 o'clock that night, that I could still get the egg back, but I got to come pay for the room, and I didn't even get a chance to do shit. I didn't even get a chance to ask Bill if he had any more money, because the only reason why I was at my buddy's house across the street is because he still owed me for a motorcycle he's buying off me, and I didn't even get a chance to hit him up for any more cash. I just figured, fuck, I need to get the fuck out of here. I want to get as much distance between me and these pieces of shit as I possibly can right now. And there's one cop left, and he hands me his business card with a number written on the back. And I go, well, dude, I don't want your fucking phone number, dude. I'm not gay. And he goes, will you stop being an asshole? I go, what the fuck is this? He goes, give it to the manager down there at that motel you're staying at, because that's one of our motels. I go, what do you guys run? You guys pimping girls out of there or something? He goes, God damn, man. He goes, look. He goes, we've got mental health patients down there. I go, oh, that's wonderful to know. Fucking, so what's this supposed to do? He goes, show it to the manager, and he'll tell you, give you your stuff back. You want to pay for the room. I go, bull, give me a fucking break. I go, you know what this is, officer? No offense, but this is just something you're going to give me so you can go home and pat yourself on the back and tell your wife you done good. And you know as well as I do that I'm going to get down there, and the Pakistani guy who runs that place is going to look at this, and he's going to go, $80. And he goes, whatever, and he drives off, and I put the thing in my pocket just in case. And sure enough, when I got back down there later at night, that's what he told me. I got fucked out of it. He knew I had a Fabergé egg in there by then, and I'm sure he came in like a fat punk in a weenie factory. But, you know, I was just pissed. I take off, and I flip a bitch, and I come back around to the neighborhood after these guys all left. Because what they didn't know when they were filming this episode was that there was 5 security cameras at my buddy Bill's house, and they were all pointing across the street. Now, you got to wonder, why does somebody have 5 cameras pointing out to the street from their house? Well, I'll admit, Bill was paranoid as a motherfucker. He was kind of a hermit, not very social kind of a guy, but seemed like decent people. But he told me like 3 or 4 days before that he had stolen these cameras from Zorba's restaurant. I ain't gonna lie, he did. And then he told me a couple of days before that he had gone over to get food at Zorba's and they were acting funny. And I go, of course they're acting funny, Bill. You stole their fucking cameras, dude. He just went up to the side of the building with a stepladder and pulled them off the wall. And he goes, Slim, how would they know? I got the cameras. I go, Bill, it records on the VCR inside, you fucking retard. And he goes, oh my God. Oh, dude. And he was like, he couldn't believe he fucked up that bad. So he had gone out in his driveway the night before and turned all the cameras back into the parking lot, thinking that Brian, the owner of the restaurant, was going to come over there and retaliate. But Brian's just not like that. They just, grin and bear it, And so I thought that was kind of beneficial there. Kind of worked out in my favor. So after everybody left that night and took off, I flipped a bitch and came back to the fucking spot. I got a pretty loud bike, so I had to go a couple off ramps down the freeway, and I came back into the neighborhood. I came down the street, and as I got down the street, Bill's got the gate wide open, and he goes, "I already know why you're here, Slim. Come on and get it. Just go do what you got to do." So I got right inside the gate, shut the gate. He shut the gate behind me. I got off my bike. I walked over to the fence. I pulled down the mount that holds one of the cameras. I pulled the line up. I followed the line inside the house, and I took the VCR that it's attached to, and I camouflaged the fact that it had ever been removed by putting dust on the window and like evening it all out, because there's kind of, when you live in that neighborhood, there's a lot of dirt roads and shit everywhere. Everything's got a layer of dust on it. So I mean, by the time I was done, you couldn't tell that anything had been there. Even Bill was impressed. He's like, "Damn, Slim, you done this before?" I'm like, "No, but when your adrenaline's rushing like mine is right now, I guess you can do extraordinary things." So I went ahead and I got a trash bag. I actually got 4 of them. I threw three extra trash bags. Like, "Can I borrow an ammo box?" Because Bill's got all kinds of that kind of shit laying around. If he was living anywhere in the United States, if you just saw the inside of his house and you were trying to guess what state he lived in, you would have said Idaho. So he had an ammo box laying around. I had lots of them. So I got one of the ammo boxes and 4 trash bags from him. I put all the garbage from this episode, or from this expedition, in the bag, except for the tape, the VCR tape. I wrapped put the tape and put it inside the box, and then I wrapped the box in 3 layers of plastic. And I wrapped the tape in 3 layers of plastic, put it inside the ammo box, took the ammo box, threw it in my backpack, took all the VCR and all the extra coax cable and the mount from the fence, and I threw it all into a trash bag, and I hopped on my bike and I took off. And I went and buried the fucking tape up on top of Box Springs Mountain, and I told nobody about it. I didn't tell my girlfriend about it. Nobody. And then I took all the trash and threw it in the fucking trash can on the way up there. It was hard because when I got up there, I realized, fuck, I should have brought a shovel. It took me like 2 hours to dig the hole for this thing. But I dug it in a spot where I know that the weather wasn't going to expose it. There's a bunch of TV broadcast towers up there and radio broadcast towers on top of Box Springs Mountain. So you can only get so far up the mountain. But I had to stop just short of that gate, and because there's personnel up there, and bury the thing in a little spot on the hill. And I never told anybody about it. Because from that day forward, my life turned into a fucking nightmare of police harassment. It turned into a nightmare of police harassment. Now, the following day, I went home that night. I told my girlfriend about what happened, and she was like, "Oh, so you're going to be on TV?" I'm like, "No, babe, you're missing the point here. I hopefully won't be on TV. They don't have my permission. I don't think they're going to put it on TV. If they show me a copy of the episode that I approve of, I might be on TV. But right now, I don't think they're going to put me on TV because I never signed their paper." I says, "But we need to start being more paying attention to what we're doing, where we're going, because I know cops, and this is not going to end here. This ain't over." And she's like, "Oh, babe, you're just being paranoid." I'm like, "No, sweetie, you have no idea. If you lived my life, you would not be saying that." So, the following morning, I'm warming up my motorcycle to go to work. Crotch rockets are notoriously hard to get rolling when it's cold, and I get up and I got to get the bike going with starter fluid every single day. So I get my bike idling, and it's finally, once it's on its own and it's idling, I get up and I go to walk back inside my house because my girlfriend sleeps for an extra hour before she goes to work. And but I got the front door of the apartment cracked open, and I realized, oh fuck, I just woke her up because I got the bike started and I had the door open. So what I was trying to do was just reach over and shut the door, like, "Sorry, babe," damn, But I didn't even get back to the door because as soon as I started to get off my bike, I look up and my landlord's coming across my grass. Her name's Betty Markey. She was like, I don't think she's around anymore. This is like 20 years ago, but she was 84 years old at the time, and she's cool. This lady is cool. She owns like 700 properties, and she drives an old beat-up Toyota pickup truck, and she's got the worst toupee you ever saw, but she's cool. She's cool beans, man. She really is. And she's walking across my lawn, and I look up and I see her, and she goes, "What's up, Slim?" And I go, "Hard dicks and taxes every day." And she goes, No. She goes, "About the water leak." I go, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "You called me about the water leak, remember? Like 10 minutes ago?" I go, "I never called you, Betty." I go, "My phone is dead. I had to plug it in just a minute ago. I couldn't call you if I tried right now." She goes, "Well, you said it was you." I go, "No, I didn't say it was me. Somebody said it was me." I go, look, I was just in a thing with the cops last night. She goes, what? I go, no. I go, they filmed me for a show. I go, you've seen the show Cops, right? She goes, of course, yeah. Because back then, everybody watched Cops. I go, well, I was saving somebody's life because he had been stabbed. And long story short, they filmed me for the show. And I ended up not getting out of there for like 5 hours. It was a nightmare. So she goes, oh, well, so there's no water leak? I go, no, there's no water leak. I go, it's somebody fooling me, somebody messing with me. I go, maybe my dad called you, and it was about another, because my dad rents a couple of places from her. She goes, no, you said it was you. I go, yeah, but remember, me and my dad sound exactly alike. Maybe you just assumed, maybe? She goes, no, you said Slim. I go, well, I don't know what to tell you, Betty, sorry. As I'm talking to her, a fucking cinder block comes through my back window of my apartment. Okay, not a brick, a cinder block. It showers my girlfriend with glass, cuts her all up. Fucking Jesus Christ, you gotta be kidding me. And this is my landlord I'm talking to. And she's like, what's going on here? And I go, I don't know, Betty. I ran in to make sure my girl was all right. Now we got to get her patched up because she's bleeding. The cinder block damn near lands on her face. And a 15-passenger white van goes speeding down my alley. Now, my neighbor, I'm not going to give his name right now, but my neighbor's dad's a deputy at the time. And when he saw the white van pull in behind my house, he thought it was my dad. My dad fixes TVs, and he drives a white van. So when he saw a white van go by his window, he thought it was my pop, and he had a problem with his TV, so he jumped up to get my pop's attention. And he said, Slim, as I got up and I looked out the window, I realized it wasn't your dad. It was the deputy sheriff. And he goes, and I watched him throw the fucking cinder block through your window. And he goes, and not only do I know it was a sheriff, I know the name of that sheriff because my dad's a sheriff. He had never told me that before. He goes, my dad's a Riverside County deputy sheriff, and I am willing to testify in court to who I saw and what I saw. So you just tell me when. If you want internal affairs, come out here and do something, go ahead and go get him. I go, yeah, that's going to do any good. He had told me this later on that morning. That evening, we go to Del Taco to get dinner, and I'm jumped by 3 off-duty cops. They were cadets at the time. It was about 2 years later that I ran, or actually several years later, that I got, when the first facial recognition came out, I looked back into the records at, you go online, you can get cadet pictures, graduating photos from the police academy, and they facially recognized as graduates from the police academy from like 2004, I think it was. So they were potential cops. They were probably about 20 years old, but these were grown men. They waited till we walked out of the restaurant. They had 2 knives and a framing hammer, and I fucked all 3 of these guys up. And anybody can go to Del Taco on Streeter in Arlington, talk to the manager, tell her you want to, I don't know why she calls it the Bruce Lee tape, I don't know karate, but she'll give you a free fries and a drink and a burrito probably, because she loves showing everybody that video. Again, Streeter in Arlington in Riverside, California, and anybody can go see that video. So this is what I'm getting for stopping to do the right thing. My life's turning into a nightmare. On day two, I wake up the following morning. I sent my girl out at that time. I'm not going to have her sleeping in danger. And that really sucks when you're madly in love with a girl and you're watching your fucking shit get destroyed because cops are pieces of shit. I sent her out of there for safety. The next morning, I wake up to a gun in my face. It's about 7:30 in the morning. And I wake up, and I get a pistol in my face. And they say, you got 30 seconds to pack a bag because you don't live here anymore. I got on my bike, and as I'm getting on my bike and starting it, thank God it started. I don't know why it's a God thing. That thing never starts without starter fluid, and it fired right up. And I boned out of there. And we're looking at each other like, God, do we want to take his bike? I booked out of there. And the following day when I came back to see what I could salvage of my life, my apartment was empty. There was nothing but drywall and carpet in there. And all my neighbors are telling me, yeah, the cops took everything you owned and put it in a U-Haul, Slim. We all watched them. All my neighbors watched this go down. All of them. I live in there's like a row of studio apartments behind a big house that's been turned into 4 apartments. So there's 3 across the back and 4 in the house. There's 7 units. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. Everybody heard what was going on. And all 6 of my neighbors watched what happened. And all 6 of my neighbors were willing to go to court and willing to testify. Because I'm friends with all these people. I've been living there for years. This is fucking bullshit. They took the car. They took everything. They took everything I owned and boned out with it. Now, it was years later like, I think 4 or 5 years later, that I ran into one of Bill Wallace's, my friend from across the street, when they filmed it that day. It was years later I ran into his girlfriend, and I said, hey, fuck, how can I get a hold of Bill? Because I'd been by his house, and there was nobody there anymore. It was like a bunch of Hispanic people living there. And she goes, dude, Slim, you don't know? I go, well, no, what? She goes, Bill's dead. I go, what? What happened? She goes, oh my God, Slim, you don't know, do you? I go, no, tell me, what the fuck? She goes, they found him dead, beaten to death in his house 2 days later. After they filmed that show, she goes, I was there that day. They came by the morning after, two mornings after they filmed it. She goes, so I'm in the house with Bill. She goes, it's like first thing in the morning, we're just waking up. I'm just drinking my coffee. And they're fucking shaking the gate, and the dogs are barking, and they're trying to get our attention. And so she goes, so I'm looking out the window, and Bill sticks his head out the door and goes, yeah, what do you want? And they're all, Riverside County Sheriff's, open up. He goes, oh, you got a warrant? They said, no. He goes, well, what do you want? They said, we want the videotapes from your surveillance cameras. And he goes, do you got a warrant? And they said, no. He goes, well, then good luck getting to my razor wire, my dogs, and my guns. And then you can peel them from my cold, dead hands. And he shut the door. Now, she told me, she goes, dude, it was like 2 more hours before Bill would even let me leave. Because he was paranoid they were going to scoop me up. She goes, but I boogied out of there, dude. She goes, Bill had flipped over all of his tables. He was stacking up sandbags. He loaded all of his weapons. He was ready. And you know Bill? I go, yeah, I know Bill, all right. She goes, we already knew what was going to go down, Slim. She says, and they found him beaten to death the next morning. So, I don't know if she got the timeline right. I imagine it was just the following morning, I think is what probably what it was. The only thing that makes sense, because I think what happened was they went that night, they went to go edit that film, they realized the cameras were there, and they said, oh shit, we better go get this footage, because they had already stolen the footage from the liquor store across the street, from the restaurant, and then when they realized that they still have evidence, that there's 5 cameras that caught them assaulting us in the parking lot for 5.5 hours, and revealing the fact that they set a good Samaritan trap, they knew they had to get it. So they went over there and they tortured Bill to death. Okay, his mother had to identify him with DNA and dental records because he was so badly beaten. She couldn't identify her own son. That's how bad they fucked him up. And I imagine he gave up something about the whereabouts of the camera. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, well, hold on. They got the other 4 fucking camera footages, so they know who took the camera because I'm on camera doing it. Besides, if they just went back across the street to the restaurant, got his camera up, they'd have another angle of me taking the camera down. So maybe Bill didn't talk. Maybe that's why they beat him to death. Well, actually, after you beat him up that bad anyway, you're going to have to kill him because, come on, it's common sense. So, you know, I got that tape buried, and they tried to take me out 3 times. The third time, which is not on video, was at the Redlands Bowl. And it was 4 cops that day. So, you know, it's fucked up, man. They stopped trying to physically attack me at this point. You know, I don't fight a uniform, and I won't fight a badge. That's fucking stupid. I don't fight cops when they're in their uniform. You come at me on duty. Every cop that's ever arrested me, all 41 times, you guys all know that I'm cool about shit, man. I'm not going to put up no kind of resistance. I don't get an attitude problem with you because I'm not stupid enough to think that it's going to benefit me. But when you come at me off duty and you don't identify yourselves, hey, you're going to wake up in a parking lot. You're going to wake up on the ground. That's all there is to it, okay? So they don't do that to me anymore, and I give them respect when they're in uniforms, and that's what we're doing. Now, I'm not trying to say that cops don't do any good. That's not what I'm trying to say here. Cops do a lot of good. They put a lot of bad guys behind bars, and somebody's got to do it. And just put it on the record right now, I wouldn't do their job for $1 million a day. But here's the thing. Just because you do some good doesn't give you permission to go out there and be a fucking piece of shit all the time. And for all you cops that stop and to harass me, because for 16.5 years after this episode was filmed, every fucking time I left my house, I get harassed. I get stopped on average 15 times a day. For years, they parked across the street from my apartment when I lived in Canyon Crest. So every time I walked out of my house, they were on me like a motherfucker. And you got to do whatever you got to do to get these cops off your ass. And you got to go to some pretty extreme measures sometimes, you know? The last thing I want them doing is finding out where I live so they can fuck with my girlfriend I'm with another girl up when I'm in Canyon Crest at that time, and she used to get really pissed off because she's like, we can't even go for a walk together. Well, babe, you knew what you were getting into when we started this. You know, we tried one time to get to the store, and that turned out to be another impound of a vehicle. Them twisting my green limb fractured arm behind my back while they molest my girlfriend on the side of the road. Riverside Police Department. It was wonderful. We never tried that again. She almost went to get her car at Impound. I'm like, babe, you can't do that. They're going to follow you home. Come on, we know how to, we've been through this. We know this. You know, it's hard to fucking maintain any kind of relationship when you get stopped 15 times a day. So I don't even try anymore. It's not fair to her. You know, these guys, there's no low too low for a cop. Okay? There's no low. You'll never hear a cop say, I don't know, man. I don't think no, it doesn't matter. If one cop will do it, all the rest of them will follow suit. And in another video, we'll go into the proof of just how real that really is, okay? But we're going to leave it here for this time. That's the story. That's what the cops did to us that day. And this is part one. I hope you've enjoyed the story up until now. And if you're a police officer, well, fuck. I hope you're really pissed off about it because, hey, finally I get a chance to swing back. However, I know that most of you deputies out there, your heart's not in this fight. I know it because when I went up to your police department on December 20th, 2020 and busted your front door out and cursed everybody in the building out and nobody said shit to me, I realized that day that this ain't about the cops against me. This is about Deputy Ployger against me. Because here's the thing, guys. If California law says that if you use my image for profit and you make more than $3,000 in doing so and you don't give me my cut of the profits, whatever deal we had worked out, then now I'm entitled to 50% of all associated revenue. Okay? That was 2002. Every day that goes by, my bankroll gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay? These guys owe me more and more and more money. They locked me up for 3 years after they filmed this episode. Well, 3.5. But they went and reported earnings with Social Security for me in 2004 to make it appear as if I wasn't behind bars. But what these fucking retard cops don't realize is that I can prove I was behind bars. I've got documentational proof, not only from the state of California, but from Cisco, the company that supplies all the jails with their shit, because I was the only inmate every time I'd go anywhere. They kept me as a trustee, and every time they put me on rotation, and every 6 weeks I moved to a new jail, and before I get to that jail, they take all the other trustees and kick them out. So I never see another inmate. I don't get a chance to send out any email. I don't get any visits. I don't have no money on my books. And these motherfuckers won't even let me shower. And I'm making their food for them for 6 weeks at a time. The only time I'm allowed to clean up is when I go to a new facility. And they kept me like that for 2 years, 8 months, and 2 weeks. They kept me behind bars. And they kept me hidden. I did some time. They did let me go back to Vermont for a while, where I had Rodney King for a bunkie. And by the way, Rodney King is one cool motherfucking dude right there, man. I got nothing bad to say about that guy. He's cool beans, man. He really is. He's a good guy. I'd let Rodney King babysit for me if I had kids. He's that good of a guy, man. He really is. And it's unfortunate what happened to him, that he's gone now. R.I.P. Rodney King. And R.I.P. Bill Wallace, you know. Bill, my buddy from across the street there that got killed by these cops. And I forgot to mention, too, that in Riverside County, the sheriff is the coroner here. Now, I don't know how that works. I don't know how you get 12 years of medical training under your belt just because you put a shiny piece of metal on your chest. I'm really not sure how that works. But now I hear that when you become a sheriff, you become an astronaut, a coroner, and a ballerina all at the same time when you get your badge. So congratulations, Chad Bianco, for your ballerina training and your astronaut fucking training. I hope you have fun fixing satellites up there. And may a meteorite fucking pierce your helmet while you're up there, you son of a bitch. And for all you cops out there who pull me over, arrest me, and then come back to my cell at 3 o'clock in the morning and apologize for it, because this is what they do, guys. I've had probably 150 cops come to my cell and tell me, hey, look, I think it's pretty fucked up what they're doing to you. And I always think that's kind of funny, because sometimes it's the guy who arrested me. I'm like, what the fuck? Now, let me put on the record that Riverside County Sheriff has only ever arrested me once. I've only been stopped and frisked by Riverside County Sheriff once. However, all I got to do is cross the Santa Ana River into Riverside, and I've been stopped over 6,000 times and arrested 27 times. So obviously, it's just Riverside Sheriff's Department trying to make it look as if they have nothing to do with me. My very first arrest was in San Bernardino, where my first case, my district attorney quit her job, Kathy Brown. She quit her job over my case. They tried to say I stole a car, but I was at work. at a police impound yard that day at the fucking Fontana swap meet, at the auto auction up there at the detail shop. And despite the fact that the cop came in and showed the video, the judge told me I was still going to prison. And then every single member of San Bernardino Sheriff's Department appeared in my case over the next 2 court dates to tell the judge that they had the wrong guy, that they had spoken to their witnesses and they got every part of my description wrong. And that's when they told the judge, by the way, the car you're accusing Mr. Delahunty, that's me, the car you're accusing Mr. Delahunty of stealing and then now of driving is a bait car. And the purpose for this bait car, they told the judge, was to entrap Officers Perez and Weber, who are the 2 cops who arrested me in my first case, who by that time had already signed forthwith to prison for being corrupt. Okay? And the judge is still telling me, he don't give a shit, I'm still going to prison. Okay? Despite the fact that the 2 guys who arrested me went to prison for framing me, I still spent 3 years in county jail. This is fucking horse shit. However, on paper, I was released because when I went to my sentencing day, that first case, here I am, all this crazy shit happens in my court case, and no matter what goes down, the judge just keeps looking over at me and goes, I don't give a shit, you're still going to prison. And when Internal Affairs comes in there and tells them that now he's under investigation for corruption, the judge that is, the judge just says, get the fuck out of my courtroom. And they tuck their tails and run, and nothing happens. All my cellies are going, oh, you're getting out, Slim, right on, dog, you're lucky. But nothing happens. Oh, yeah, and in addition to all this, they edited the show, as you'll see on my videos there, to make me look like a rat. They said I gave a statement when I didn't, but you'll notice I'm being led away in the back room when they did it, because Deputy Ploiger knows that if he would have said that shit in front of me, I would have fucked his ass up. So they leave me away in the background, make a bullshit statement about me making a statement about the witness, which never was made. It was all horse shit. That was in retaliation. That was right after they found out they weren't going to get my signature. Okay, these are wonderful people. These are wonderful people. They go out there to fuck the Good Samaritan, and then when the Good Samaritan doesn't want to play along, they fuck him even. They double down. Fucking dirtbags. Riverside County Sheriffs ain't nothing filled with nothing but fucking retards and fucking evil pieces of dog shit. And to all you cops, here's my analogy. To all you cops who think otherwise, who think that you can go out there and just harass one person every day, or for all you guys who just only locked up an innocent person that first day you got your badge, to get your badge. This is my analogy for you, and we're going to leave it at this. This is my analogy for you. Let's pretend you just moved into a new neighborhood, and you just got done putting all your shit in your house. And you decide, because like everybody today who don't go outside for nothing, you think, well, I got to go over, I guess, and knock on their door and introduce myself, because I'm the new neighbor. So go over there, and you go to knock on their house. You knock on the door, they answer, you go, hi, my name's Doug, I'm your new neighbor. And he goes, hey, your neighbor says, hi, I'm Tony, man. Welcome to the neighborhood. Yeah, we saw you moving in, but we're lazy fucks. And you know what happens? You go outside, you burst into flames. Come on in, let me put my smartphone down. Just kidding, I'm not going to put my smartphone down. Come on inside, have a beer. So you go inside, and two of you are drinking a beer. And what if the guy says, hey, hey, Doug, what if you, could you do me a favor? You're like, sure. About done with your beer, but you're on the process of leaving, but you think, why not? I'm going to work for a couple more hours. Sure, what do you need? And what if the guy says, hey, can you watch my front door for me? Just make sure nobody comes into my house. I got something I got to go do down in the basement for about 20 minutes. And you're like, sure, I guess I can. And then as the guy's heading down into the basement, you stop and you go, hey, hold on, one sec. Hey, bud, let me ask you, what are you doing down in the basement? What if he told you, well, I'm a child molester, and I don't want to get caught doing it, so if you could just watch my front door for me, that'd be great. Okay, now, if you're to say yes at that point, that you're going to watch the guy's front door for him while he goes down and does this fucking horrible shit in his basement, what did you just become? All right, now I don't need to answer this question, because every human being on earth already knows the answer. Okay, there's not a person on this planet that doesn't have the understanding to get that. Okay, we all got it. It's rhetorical. And for all you cops out there, rhetorical means you don't have to answer it. Okay, now, let's run the scenario one more time. Okay? Now, you go next door, you go to knock on your neighbor's door, and he answers the door, and you go, hi, I'm Officer Doug. And he says, oh, I'm Officer Tony. Come on in, Officer Doug. And you guys come inside, and you're drinking a beer, and he goes, well, hey, Officer Doug, can you do me a favor? Sure, Officer Tony, what do you need? What if you said, Officer Doug, can you watch my front door for me for 20 minutes? I got to go down to the basement and rape a couple of kids real quick. Now, you mean to tell me, by your rationale, that Officer Doug is allowed to say, sure, I'll enable you to go down in your basement, rape kids by watching your front door for you, but he's not guilty. Because he's got a shiny piece of metal on his chest? Fuck you. Get the fuck out of here. You're not fooling me, you're not fooling God, and you're not fooling anybody who watches this video, you fucking idiots. You cops are all guilty as fuck of everything you do all day. So here's my proposal. I say that since you guys, you all think that you're righteous, you got so many motherfucking coworkers patting you on the back, calling you good guys. First off, let me point out to you that they're all despicable. All your coworkers are despicable. And when you're despicable, and everybody around you is despicable, and you do something despicable, of course nobody sees nothing wrong with it. Because when you're despicable, the only thing that's considered despicable is righteousness, is decency. Okay? Get that. All right? So if you guys really are good guys, why don't we do it like this? Here's my proposal for everybody in America. Here's how we can straighten out every police department that quick, instantaneously. And here's what you do. Okay? Every police chief has a fucking little, when you go and play bingo, they got that thing with all the balls in it, and they spin it around, and they pull the B24, All right, get one of those deals, and put every employee in there, gets a ball in there with his his badge number on it, okay? And his name. So every day, before watch command, they do this live on the internet, live on YouTube. All right, you spin that thing around, and then you have a child or a monkey or something reach into that cage, because you couldn't let a cop do it because something corrupt would happen. Come on, let's just get real. Have a child reach into that cage and pull one of those balls out, and let the child read it. Hold it up to the camera so we can all see who gets their body camera footage from yesterday put on the internet, so we can see what they did the day before. That's my proposal. That will fix all the corruption that we have. If everybody knew that there was no way for you to protect your fucking body camera footage, it would force all cops to act right. And all you cops out there who think that what you do is a necessary evil, we don't need you. Pack your shit up and go home. There's no such thing as a necessary evil. Okay? This is a nation. I know we have all religions represented here, but I don't even think any major religion in the world has the general theory of necessary evil. It's just not so. Okay? Decent people don't think like that. And for all you people who watch Chicago PD too much, and you think every time you go to the store you're going to get jumped by somebody, I'll point out a statistic for you real quick. The F.B.I. says that in 1979, out of 100,000 people, 7 people died of gunshot wounds. Or no, excuse me, of violent crime. Okay, violent crime took 7 people out of every 100,000. Okay, that was in 1979. Last year, it was 6.6. It's safer now than it's ever been. So get off the internet, Grandma. Stop watching Chicago PD, America. Okay? There's no cop that gets in a shootout every day. It's exceedingly rare for a cop to be involved in a shootout. Even though in Riverside they pull the guns on everybody all the time. And even though they're the last figure I heard, they were the 3rd most likely police department to shoot you at a traffic stop. But that's because every single one of them here is corrupt. Trust me, I know. My uncle is Mad Dog Delahunty. I know that all these motherfuckers are corrupt. Okay? It's no secret to nobody in this town. And you would be able to go back into the archives and look my grandpa's name up if the cops hadn't removed it all. He was a very big story back in the day, and he ain't none of the newspapers anymore. All right? Wake up, America. We need to wake the fuck up. And all you rich people out there think that these guys ain't going to fuck with you? Not yet. But just sit tight, because it's coming. History don't lie, man. All right, that's wrapping up part 1. Thanks for listening. Part 2 will be more continuation of full throttle corruption. So wear your crash helmets, America. Thanks for tuning in. God bless America.